What's up, my friends in film fandom, wherever you may be and however you may be watching? Thank you so much for giving us just a little bit of your time. Jeremy and Tex are both being pulled away by other things. Jeremy not feeling so well, Tex at work because, someone's got to feed the kids. But I happen to have someone here who we have not heard in a very long time, and I'm very happy to hear her voice again. And it is the Dowager Countess, Lady Core. How are you tonight, ma'am?
I'm good. I'm telling you, it's short and t-shirt sandal weather in Vegas. It's fantastic. I've been out on my patio in the sunshine today.
Yeah, and today I was climbing poles on ladders when it was snowing and rainy and shitty. So I don't like you for 5 minutes now because you're getting good weather that I
But you know
that
what
I
though? I put my
desperately long
time
to
in.
have.
I lived in South Dakota for 3 years. Okay, I commiserate with you.
Yeah, the nice thing is it wasn't like terrible cold. That's what I hate about living in Ohio. It's like snow I can handle
Mm-hmm.
because it can snow and still be 40 degrees, which is a perfectly acceptable temperature to function in. But it's when it gets so cold that the atmosphere physically can't create snow, it just gets to be like -10. And it's
Oh
just
yeah,
like
it was
everything just freezes. So we don't even get the luxury of like having the snow to play with. It's just
the
asshole
worst.
cold.
The worst in South Dakota that happened regularly was -20 Fahrenheit. Yeah, I know what you mean. So, anyways, how are you? Besides
Uh,
cold.
yeah, dandy, fantastic. Just had dinner with the family after a long day at work and ready to talk some movies. Again, not liking the weather, but I mean, I could be in worse places in life, so I'm not so upset about it.
You just made my day using the word dandy. Just saying.
I'm bringing words back. We got to expand our vocabulary. It's like I was okay with like using the word dope when I was a kid. So I'm trying to bring back radical or rad. I think that was a fun word. Groovy is a word I've been using
Mhm.
for several years now. It's a fun word. It feels good to
Mhm.
say something is groovy. It's a positive thing.
It is.
But before we get into anything overtly groovy, we are going to talk about Bullet Train. Bullet Train is a 2022 American action comedy film directed by David Leitch and starring Brad Pitt as an assassin who must battle fellow killers while riding a bullet train. It is based on the 2010 novel Maria Beetle, titled Bullet Train in the UK and US editions, written by Kataro Isaka. It's the second novel in Isaka's Hitman trilogy, of which the first novel was previously adapted as a 2015 Japanese film, Grasshopper. The film also features an ensemble supporting cast, including Joey King, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Brian Tyree Henry, Andrew Kochi, Hiroki Sanada, Michael Shannon, and Benito A. Martinez Acasio, and Sandra Bullock. Bullet Train premiered in Paris on July 18th of 2022 and was theatrically released in the United States on August 5th of that year by Sony Pictures. The film received mixed reviews from critics, but it did gross 239 million worldwide against a
Mm.
production budget of around 85 or 90 million. That's not terrible. On Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a really odd score of 54%. I thought it would be higher. Out of 339 critics, they gave the film positive reviews with an average rating of 5.6 out of 10. The website's consensus review reads, quote, Bullet Train's colorful cast and high-speed action are almost enough to keep things going after the story runs out of track. I think that's a little bit harsh. I actually think this movie is
Mm.
quite fun. I don't know, Cora, give me some quick thoughts of what you thought about Bullet Train before we go diving into all the
Well,
spoiler stuff.
I will say this. I watched it before and then I caught up and rewatched it today. I don't know if you've heard of this movie called Smoking Aces. It's about a whole
Oh, yeah.
troop of different separate assassins that meet upon this hotel who are all trying to get a bounty of one guy in the penthouse and they all end up killing each other. This movie is a cross between Smoking Aces and Clue on a Train. So for me, I love Clue, I love Smoking Aces, and trains are cool. So for me, it's and for the record, if you don't know this, folks, Bullet Train is a reference to how fast it goes. It doesn't have anything to do with a gun or ammunition. Because in Japan they have very fast trains. Um, so I think it was fantastic. The visuals, I love the neons of Tron, like Tron, and like the nightclub look. It just visually it was pleasing. It was one of those movies that you couldn't fall asleep to because of the great audio mixing, the visuals, and the very cool like Kill Bill domino movie style flashbacks that were popping in to give you the background of the characters and what happened. Like especially the scene about the White Death and how he became the White Death, and it's just fucking it's on point. It's a good movie, and it's one of those movies that like you okay, how many movies, Frank, are good that actually in movie, in plot time, only take place over like less than an hour. Like,
Yeah,
very few.
it's really hard to do stuff like that, to do a movie in real time. It's been done before. It's been done good. It's been done bad.
Right.
But it's really, really tough to kind of make that cohesive. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're so used to, like, over the course of 2 hours showing what
Right.
happens over the course of a couple of months or even years. But
Right.
yeah, it is kind of difficult to show this one quick paced story happening over a short period of time. Now, really, this does happen over several hours, not just a couple hours. But I mean, still,
Okay.
it's pretty good. It's pretty awesome that they made it look as good as they did. I'm with you. I think this movie, for one, it is, Japan is just a beautiful looking place. I mean,
Yes.
aesthetically, it's,
Especially at night, I'm told,
oh
like in the
yeah, every night.
cities.
So I mean, you've already got this thing set against the backdrop of the beautiful city, the beautiful cities it's going through, and the beautiful countryside. Not to mention, you've got the visuals, the colors are very inviting in this entire
Mm-hmm.
movie. You would think it's a movie about a bunch of assassins trying to kill each other. It'd be kind of dark. It'd be kind of a dark setting. It's really not. There's a lot of pastels, a lot of bright colors. It's a very inviting
Mm-hmm.
movie, which invites you in to watch these
And,
people.
and by the way, I think the prince's pink suit was a nod to Harry Potter fans, thinking of that horrible bitch teacher who always wore pink skirt suits. As soon as I saw, I was like, "Oh my god, someone had to be a Harry Potter fan." But and let me also say, I'm not a Brad Pitt fan, generally speaking. He was great in that movie, Return to Sender, where he plays the dumb gym guy, but I don't find him particularly attractive, and I think he's overhyped. And you know what you were saying about Rotten Tomatoes, how it had a lower score? I think Brad Pitt is not really as big of a draw as he used to be. So if it could have been anybody else, maybe it would have drawn more attention, but he did great in this, I'll say that. So,
Well, it wasn't just Brad Pitt, obviously. I mean, there were so many good people in this movie. I mean,
by the way, I didn't know who the fuck Bad Bunny was except out of wrestling because he did some stuff with WWE a while back. And when I went to the IMDb, I'm like, oh, that's Bad Bunny. He can actually act. He's not just a buffoon on wrestling. So, and he sings too, I guess. But anyways, the point is,
he put out an album too, apparently. But I mean, I've never heard it. But yeah, I mean, I agree. It's a fun movie. It's definitely got its martial arts movies from like the 70s and early 80s callbacks to it. Maybe not as heavily as something like Kill Bill, but it's certainly kind of shot in that style. Look, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's got a touch of the magna of the the storytelling of the Japanese anime stuff. It's got a little bit of that to it. You just poured a bunch of talent all over this movie, and in an already kind of fun, almost goofy assassin story.
Yeah.
Becomes even more watchable. I just think it's really, really good.
Well, especially the fight scene between Wolf and Ladybug with the knife and the briefcase.
Yeah.
It's like it felt like a whole Jackie Chan sequence that was choreographed with a moving train. And one of my favorite moments is when the knife goes into the window of the train and it sparks like it's got neon. And there maybe it's one of those windows that actually has like an LED panel on the outside. I don't know. And the detailing. And whoever choreographed these fight scenes did really cool stuff, like how the briefcase was turned, the knife went through the handle, and like the body positioning. And but then there's comedic shit, like how he's trying to cover him up with a blanket and put a bottle of booze under his arm, and doing those horrible pink glasses on the sun when he's like, it's just like, so there's also like an air of like Pink Panther to this too, because some of it, like, it's just, there's a little something for everybody for whatever genres you're into.
Yeah, I agree. Let's talk first real quick about the director, David Leitch. So many just fantastic movies that he's made. He's been heavily involved in the John Wick movies, which I know are some of Jeremy's favorites. He actually was an uncredited director on the first John Wick movie, but has been an executive producer on all the other films. He, of course, directed Deadpool 2. He directed Hobbs and Shaw, which is one of the better of the Fast and the Furious franchise of movies that has come out in the last several years.
Jason Statham's in it, so it's worth it.
So he's been involved in that. He was a stunt coordinator for the Bourne Ultimatum, which is pretty awesome in and of itself. He was also the stunt coordinator and the second unit director for the movie Ninja Assassin that came out, I don't know, probably.
So is he the one you think coordinated all that stuff, or he just oversaw it?
Well, that's what he did initially with stunt
Oh.
coordination.
Okay.
But yeah, but still, I mean, he's made some pretty good movies. He also was the executive producer on Violent Night, which is a movie that we're going to be talking about here in the next week or two. Another one of the great Christmas movies. He's definitely got the flair for action. The only thing that's got me worried about him as a director right now is he's directing the Fall Guy movie that's coming out, and I got to be honest, if that's it, it wasn't that trailer wasn't. It wasn't the Munsters bad, but it was bad. I saw this and I saw the trailer and I was like,
heard of it. So.
Well, The Fall Guy was a TV show with Lee Majors back in the 80s.
Okay.
And it was I've been watching it episodes here and there because they've got the first 2 seasons on Amazon. So I've been kind of going back and watching a little bit of it. I used to watch it years ago when I was a kid. But it's there. The trailer showed me absolutely nothing of the magic that made the original movie good. I mean, basically you're just making a new action movie and you're using that character's name and his job, but you're not really making a movie about that life, about that universe that he existed in, the way he existed in it. So I really wish they just called it something else and just done a whole new kind of basic storyline about it. But
like
they're not.
When I got robbed paying tickets to go see a Broadway play in Portland. That was Legally Blonde the musical, like just it was fine as a movie. Why make it a musical? Sorry, I every now and then have to remind myself to be careful what tickets I order because that was just a bad experience.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, but for the most part, look. The only reason I'm going to give the Fall Guy why I'm going to buy a ticket to that is because he's hit on a lot of things. And he's definitely one of the upcoming action. He's definitely one of the kings of the action genre. So I'm going to give it a look, even though I'm keeping my expectations managed. But he's really done it. I mean, I don't know. What do you think when I tell you he's been involved with John Wick, Deadpool 2, Hobbs and Shaw, all this other stuff? I mean, what do you think about him as a director?
I will say it is pretty cool that somebody who had a really strong portfolio in something that's usually behind the scenes, like stunt coordinating, taking a chance and going into directing. And it's not just some random guy whose parents know the right people or they, whatever. I mean, he's seasoned, he knows what he's doing, and has enough experience. And this movie speaks for that because it all brings a lot of great stuff together. So I see people with talent doing cooler things. So I respect it. I think it gives him more respect as a director, knowing that he's been kind of like in the trenches of the behind the scenes shit. So
yeah, I mean, obviously being involved in John Wick, I mean that movie came on the scene and just blew away expectations. Nobody expected John Wick to be what it was, and now here we are, eagerly awaiting what will eventually be a 4th movie or a 5th movie, or I don't even know how many movies they are to this right now. And obviously, Deadpool 2, he took over and did Deadpool 2 was not quite as good as the first Deadpool, but it was so awfully damn good.
I've only seen the first one.
Yeah,
but I am looking forward to seeing Wolverine in one, so I may have to catch up.
Yeah, Hobbs and Shaw, like I said, as much as I've shit on the Fast and the Furious franchise, Hobbs and Shaw was quite entertaining. It was basically mind-numbing action.
It sounds like a cop duo team.
Yeah, and Violent Night
Tango and Cash.
Sort of, not really, except for they hate each other. They actually try to kill each other. But but yeah, and Violent Night, which was one of the surprise movies for me of the last couple of years. I mean, I would have thought that. I mean, if you look at the trailer, it looks like something that was going to go straight to the $5 DVD bin at Walmart. But then when you actually sit and watch the movie, you're like, wait a minute, this is like an old school 80s low budget straight up action flick. And you twisted Santa around to be some kind of a Norse warrior. It was a little odd, but like once I was done watching the movie and kind of like sat back and took it all in, I was like, this actually works really, really well. It was fantastic. So I mean, David Leitch. I mean, he's like I said, I'm not excited about the Fall Guy remake. I get part of it is just the nostalgia in me. I watched the TV show as a kid, and there's going to be too many differences in this that I already know about. That I'm kind of like, you're getting a little too far away from the source material. But I'm going to give it a watch.
Maybe it was a passion project for him. He loved the show like you did, but he's kind of going a little too outside of canon with it. Who knows?
Well, I mean, sometimes Hollywood gets in the way and they're like, okay, we'll go ahead and let you do this, but it has to have this, and we want to change this aspect of the character. And then you're changing so many things that what made the original fun and made it good to watch, you end up muddying the water a lot. And I'm afraid that's what's going to happen here because, you know, his assistant, the girl that helped him out in the TV show, instead of being that, she's actually his ex-wife in this. And it's like, you're changing relationship dynamics and everything. And it alters the chemistry of the film. It alters the DNA of the film.
There's a reason why I haven't watched the remake of Footloose. Let me just say that.
There's a reason why I haven't watched the remake of Footloose because A, I've heard it's basically just a shot-for-shot remake, and B, I've heard it was god-awful. I have not heard one single person say anything good about that movie, especially somebody who grew up watching the original Footloose like I did.
Yep. Amen.
But, you know, moving on to the cast now, I mean, good God, you stack this cast up. I mean, Brad Pitt is just the beginning. You've got Brad Pitt, you've got, you know, Aaron Taylor Johnson, who, like, to me, he's one of the better parts of this film. Aaron Taylor Johnson. I think he does steal a lot of scenes.
I've seen all these faces, but some I couldn't put a name to. I knew who Michael Shannon was. I knew who some of the I knew Hiroki Sanada. I'm saying it wrong. The Elder and the guy who played the conductor. He's played a nerdy, funny guy in like other movies. Masioka. And like I said, and the girl who played Prince, I've seen her in something. Joey King. I don't know who the fuck she is, but it's almost like they carefully curated the cast, and they did a great job. I have no complaints.
Yeah, who of all the people out there kind of stood out to you?
Together, Tangerine and Lemon. There was this. Okay, do you remember watching the Muppets? My favorite characters in the Muppets were the old guys in the box who would complain all the time. Everything else is going on around them, and they're just sitting there bantering and making the funniest shit up. And these two, their commentary, it's sad about how it ends for them, but you know, the way they talk to each other, like when they go back to check on the case, and then you know they're going back and forth and all this stuff, and I just kind of like that. Otherwise, they're all very individual characters, except for, you know, the people who hate each other. So, in my opinion, it was that duo that was my favorite. Except for the few scenes with Brad and Sandra Bullock together. Those were good, especially at the end. But I like the comedic and the fact that they're just talking about fruit so much. And then it brought me back to Usual Suspects when they were bitching at the table about their code names. I'm just like, this is just hilarious. So, in my opinion, it was those two. What about you?
Again, when you load a movie with talent, and they come together the right way, the chemistry of it all it's really a sight to behold. For me, someone who grew up watching a lot of martial arts movies, Hiroyuki Sanada. I mean, the guy's been doing martial arts stuff since I think the mid '60s, if you can believe that. Whenever I see that guy on a movie, I'm like, holy shit, this is going to be awesome. because he has been so good for so long. He got his career started in the mid '60s at the age of 6. But he's been in he was in Speed Racer, that really bad movie that the Wachowski siblings did. He was in he was in the first Wolverine the first Wolverine movie.
Yeah.
He was in 47 Ronin, which was actually pretty good with what's his name? John Wick. With God, why am I drawing a blank of the name?
I don't know.
Keanu Reeves. Reeves. He was in Avengers Endgame. He was the one that Hawkeye kills when he's having his Ronin phase, the king of the Yakuza. Mm-hmm. He was in John Wick Chapter 4. Obviously, he was in Westworld. I mean, the guy's got screen presence for days without even trying. You know, Masioka, again, somebody who I watched, you know, back in Heroes when he was on Heroes a long time ago. Also, Hawaii Five-0, the newer version, he plays the coroner, I believe. I never watched the show religiously, but I've watched several episodes, and I thought he was pretty good. He's actually a stand-up comedian, so I mean, his comedic chops are there. But I'm with you. Aaron Taylor Johnson and Brian Tyree Henry as Tangerine and Lemon. I mean, there was a back and forth banter about that was kind of
like, even in the opening, the guy didn't even have blood on his shirt. I'm like, well, why don't you just leave it open? Everybody see
it. You know, you had that flashback.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have that flashback, you know, later in the movie where you realize that they had been together since they were like little kids. So you realize that it's not just these assassins that are their teammates and they're kind of sniping each other, you realize that is a brotherly relationship that's developed over decades.
Hence the twins being their nickname.
Hence their nickname of the twins.
It was so hilarious. His hair goes, actually, I think they're related. And you just know. I mean, it was just the irony of it. He's like, and Brad Pitt's character just ignored it. You know, he's like, yeah.
Yeah, there was.
I think do you think that was a nod to the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger and you know who I'm talking about, called Twins?
Oh no.
They look very different, but they were called. Yeah, okay, all right.
But the one for me that really does kind of steal the movie is Michael Shannon.
I mean, I was dying to find the first time I saw this. I was like, who the fuck is playing this guy? You know, the White Death. Because I'm like, so he's Russian, he's tall. It could be anybody. Do you know who I first thought it would be? I thought it'd be Christopher Walken. Not lying.
That would be cool.
But when I was like, I know this guy, and Michael Shannon is fantastic. He's. I really loved the scene he had with the prince. And that was I really liked that scene a lot. Anyways, yeah, I think a lot of people don't really know his work that well, but I'm trying to think back to the first movie I saw him in or whatever. I think it was a serious movie and he played the husband and he was wearing a suit and tie. I'd have to really think about it. But he played a really calm, sweet guy, but yeah, he's got quite the resume. And he's really well at stepping into this role. I'll say that for sure.
Yeah, the first thing I remember seeing him in was Pearl Harbor. He's got a small role in Pearl Harbor.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at some of the other stuff. And before that,
he was in Groundhog's Day. Jesus.
Yeah, he was in the Chain Reaction, which I haven't seen that movie in 200 years. He was in Tigerland, which was a really interesting movie. I know I saw that movie a long time ago. It came out in 2000. It was an interesting war picture. I saw it years ago, and I don't remember much of it. But the first thing I remember seeing him in is Pearl Harbor. And since then, there's been a bunch of stuff. I mean, he was in 8 Mile.
Revolutionary Road is the one I saw him in. That's the one.
Yeah, he was in World Trade Center that came out in 2006. The Oliver Stone picture, another good movie. Before the Revolutionary Road.
I remember him as Gerald Zod in Man of Steel. That's it. Yeah, that's a good one of his. And Boardwalk Empire. Fuck, he was the guy I didn't like in Boardwalk Empire. Yep, he was in almost the whole series. Mm-hmm.
He played Elvis in Elvis and Nixon, which I still haven't seen it, but I've heard it was actually quite good.
Wow. So he's great. I'm glad they got him for that role, even though he had limited scenes. They were good scenes.
Yeah, but he has quickly become one of the. And George and Tammy is the one thing that I really want to see. It's about George Jones and Tammy Wynette. He plays George Jones, and I've heard that is actually quite good. He was also very, very good in Waco: The Aftermath, the miniseries that was on Netflix about Waco.
Oh,
and he played the FBI. The special agent that was kind of in charge of the whole thing, the negotiator, and he was, dude, for some reason it's like he seems like he's a very average actor until you see him melt into a role.
Can I be honest with you? As a woman, he's very plain looking. He doesn't have that chiseled, very handsome, like, Brad Pitt kind of automatic, and so he seems ordinary, but he isn't ordinary. So
yeah, but he has quickly become one of my favorite actors to see on screen. I mean, if I see his name on the cast list anywhere, I'm like, okay, I may have to check this out because he is very, very good, and he was very good as the Empire. I have not. I've seen clips of it.
I will say this: his character is one of the few you remember because he acted it so well.
I've wanted to go look at it because I'm a big Steve Buscemi fan. I mean, again, another very plain looking, very odd looking guy who was just a killer actor, but and with a cool history all his own. I think he actually was a firefighter in New York for a while before he got into acting. And on 9/11, he actually went to his old company and was like, "I want to come help you guys." So he was actually at Ground Zero trying to clear some of the rubble and stuff. But But yeah, I mean, I've been wanting to go check that out, but I've heard that it's almost as good as The Sopranos.
Know that Michael plays what you think when he's. I know we're not supposed to talk about a squirrel moment. Sorry, he plays what should be an ordinary plain character that really doesn't have what you think when you first are introduced to him. But then he evolves and he becomes way more important. And he's in my opinion, as important as a Steve Buscemi character, just in the background. And so that's yeah, it's really good. So he being in Bullet Train hopefully will bring attention to his further works. So yeah.
But yeah, he definitely steals the show for me. But I mean, yeah, him and Hiroyuki Sanada. But I mean, this entire cast is so very good, and I also especially love the cameos. Not only do you get one from Channing Tatum, who it was a very humorous cameo. Me and Jennifer were sitting and watching the movie last night, and she got a big kick out of it. But I mean, the one that really kind of kills it is is Ryan Reynolds. I mean, anytime you get Ryan Reynolds in a movie, I'm usually pretty happy, even if it is just for 2.5 seconds. But it was a fun little cameo. That and Sandra Bullock. Obviously, you hear her voice the entire time. Jennifer couldn't figure out whose voice that was. I kept asking her. I was like, "Have you recognized the voice yet?" She's like, "I don't know." She guessed Charlize Theron at some point, and I was like, "No, not so much." But yeah, the cameos were fantastic. So I can't knock this cast at all. A plus casting job, just so fantastic. You know what's funny is Brad Pitt's the star of the movie, and it really is equal time between him and everybody else.
Yes.
It's not like he's not like he's running every scene. Everybody here gets it's kind of like what Marvel did.
Cast, not so much a hierarchy.
It's what Marvel did with Avengers Endgame and Infinity War specifically. They were like, I remember Kevin Feige saying the hard part of making these movies is giving everybody equal time, giving everybody a couple of scenes for their character to shine instead of just trying to pick one or two characters to carry the whole thing. And that's what this movie does really, really well. There's one scene, it's Brad Pitt doing the Brad Pitt thing, and it's Lemon and Tangerine, and then it's the Prince doing her manipulation bullshit. But one of the things that's great about it is it starts on a very down, somber note. It starts in the hospital with this guy hovering over his son's hospital bed.
Wakaru.
And it's got this, so it kind of brings you down and then thrusts you into and then it starts playing Staying Alive, and you see Brad Pitt walking down the street on the phone doing his thing. Say, it's a big total
put him in was terrible. Like, can they make him look
like any more like an assassin?
Or I don't know. It's like it aged him like 20 years, like he's 65 or something. I don't know. I did love the locker scene though. She's like, take a gun. No, my therapist says I shouldn't do that. And then all of a sudden it hits him later. I should have taken a gun. That was pretty great.
Yeah, but what did you think of the plot of the movie? I mean, a bunch of assassins getting together. You said earlier it's a lot like Smoking Aces, but done a bit differently. Definitely some different angles taken in this movie. What did you think of the plot of the movie?
Well, I'll say most movies you can predict what's happening because it's so linear. And you know who the players are from the beginning, and then they just grow and develop, and the plot is here you didn't even know half the people's backstory until some flashback scene some point in the movie. I loved it. I liked the unpredictability of it. I like the fact that it felt like a choose your own adventure thing. Which two assassins ran into each other first? Loved it. It seemed chaotic, but after you watch it, you see the flow of it, but when you're in the middle of it for the first time, you don't. I don't know if that makes sense, but
yeah, it does. I really like these movies that have all these different character arcs that converge into one spot at the end of the movie, and you kind of like are blown away at how all these people, how they were all kind of in the same orbit of the same thing, and they don't know it. Like a movie like Crash that came out several years ago. It's like this entire movie spends a couple hours telling you the story of these 4 or 5 different people or couples, and then it kind of ties it all together to this one incident where all these people were somehow connected. But yeah, and this movie does that in spades. I mean, it's it can be really easy to kind of get lost in a movie like this. It gets a little diluted. How does this person connect to this person, so on and so forth. But
I'll tell you, rewatching it really helped me understand the things that when I walked away from the first time, like, huh, That was literally like a bullet train experience of watching a movie because it just
Yeah.
threw so much at you so quickly. Uh, and I'm not complaining because second watch is good on a lot of things. So it was you learn a lot more the second viewing. So yeah, I liked it. The plot was good. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I was hoping to have Jeremy here for this because he knows a lot more about. He knows a lot more, at least coming from the angle of the anime, the magna of it all. But do you think this was a good mix of like a martial arts movie, the magna of like that, the images
Yeah.
of the Japanese animation and the comedy? Because this movie, like, it could have gotten out of balance really, really quickly, but I thought they balanced all that stuff right. Do you think they did a good job kind of balancing all that stuff
Well, I
out?
don't know anything about this magua stuff, but I will say this: I just equated it to some children shit. So I mean, especially when he fights for the briefcase and punches the mascot in the face. That was pretty great. I don't know. I don't know. I think it was very Japan. I mean, because if you look at what I've never been there, but I know people have been there. Japan is a hodgepodge, and I think they incorporated enough things to make it seem very authentic to that. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, I thought it was a good mix of all. I've always been kind of a sucker for the martial arts movies. Uh, I grew up watching them. I find them wildly hilarious. I grew up watching Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, all this other
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Even the Chuck Norris stuff. So I've always been really, really fond of the martial arts stuff. But this movie does kind of pay it good tribute. There are certain styles in which he edited the film that kind of throws back to that, similar to what you were talking about, like Kill Bill, the stuff that Quentin
Mm-hmm.
Tarantino did with that film. There are certain bits of dialogue, certain plot points, like the whole plot point between the elder and his son
Yeah.
was straight out of an old martial arts movie from the early 70s. But yeah, I love the way that they put this entire movie together. I don't think there was too much anime in it. It was just
Mm-hmm.
there were anime visuals, especially in the one train where you got like where Zazie Beetz' character was in the big plush suit for the first half of the movie. Like there was definitely themes in it, but I think mostly it was kind of background.
What
It's because
was
you're
that movie where I think it was a Christmas movie where fuck, remember mm, the the anyways, it's a scene where a guy just move on. I can't remember. But anyways, it's just reminiscent of like, just like a time of year when a lot of people are trained all doing different things, and you're gonna have some weird people there, you're gonna have normal people, and then amidst all that you have these assassins. So they're gonna run into some funny shit. So it's I think it makes sense because otherwise I think it would be too unbelievable because the train wouldn't have a mix of people. If it was, for it to seem real, there's going to be civilians, there's going to be weirdos, there's going to be, you know. So I think it's key to make the movie seem authentic.
well, they did kind of at one point. I mean, like the white lady that kept saying "shush" when they were in the quiet car.
The old lady, yeah.
Yeah, so but there does come a point in the movie where you notice that her and everybody else is gone, and then you realize when Michael Shannon says there's nobody else is on the train, I bought all the tickets from that stop all the way to
Mhm.
Tokyo, so nobody's going to be in that train that I don't want on that train.
Mhm.
And yeah, there was, but again, it was. I also saw, going back to David Leitch as a director a little bit, the fight sequencing. I saw a lot of the same fight moves that I saw in the Bourne movies. Like the way he
Mm.
used the briefcase is very reminiscent to the way that
Yeah.
Jason Bourne uses a book in some fight, putting it up against the guy's throat and hitting it and stuff like that. He did the same thing with the briefcase. There was a
Or
lot
Daniel
of,
Craig as James Bond in a couple beginning sequences too. Like
yeah,
remember when the bathroom sink thing he did? I don't
yeah.
remember that, but yeah.
But yeah, there was, it was a very good mixture of a lot of different aspects of filmmaking that worked out very, very well. But I again a really fun movie overall. I'll move on to some trivia now, real quick, since we're to that point in it anyway. Let's see. Brad Pitt's character says that he never forgets a face, but struggles to remember who the wolf is. In real life, Pitt has. I'm gonna try this in one shot. Ready? prosopagnosia.
Mm-hmm.
It's a condition that impairs the ability to recognize familiar faces, including one's own face. He has said in interviews, just as his character does, he needs to remember the context and the situation in which he has met someone in order to remember who that person is.
I've heard that that's more common than people realize.
I thought that was really
like
weird.
Color blindness. But I don't know, but I think it plays into the character. I mean, I love that he remembers it as he's walking down talking to Sandra Bullock's character on the phone. He goes, "Oh yeah," and he's like, "Oh yeah, well I kill him. He's like no guilt, no qualms. Oh yeah, blah 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 blah."
Without reading this about him, I would have thought that it was just it was a character quirk. It's like I
Mhm.
never forget a face, but then Bad Bunny jumps out in front of him. He's like, "Who the hell are you? I don't even know you." Well, you were at his wedding for Christ's sake, posing as a waiter. So I would imagine you were there. You imagine he was there for a reason.
I did like the dramatic effect of him wearing the suit jacket he wore at the wedding, getting on the train. By the way, and his wife's blood on him as he gets on the train. So
Aaron Taylor Johnson actually lost a chunk of his hand and passed out after doing a stunt.
Jesus.
I'm trying to figure out exactly where that might have happened in the movie. I mean, going over all the stunts and all the scenes and all the shit, all the fights that he got into, and I'm trying to figure out exactly where that would have happened. I can't think of anything. Not that it didn't happen. I'm not calling him a liar, but I mean, but whatever. When you're on set, you're throwing yourself around. I guess that kind of makes sense. I don't know if I had it in here in my notes or not. No, I didn't. But I guess Brad Pitt, the stunt coordinator, said that he did like 90 or 95% of his own stunts. That like he was like in there doing shit, getting thrown around this set and everything, actually getting into these fights, which I think is kind of cool. But let's see. I just now realized I didn't get a good picture of Aaron Taylor Johnson, which is very dumb of me. But Sony executives, after being impressed by his scenes in this movie, in Bullet Train, reportedly reached out to Aaron Taylor Johnson to star as the title character in Kraven the Hunter, which is going to be coming out next year.
Nice.
That's what made him the Spider-Man character, was this movie.
Oh, he was in that awful movie Tenet. Oh my god.
Was he in Tenet?
That. Yeah, he played Ives. I don't know who. I watched that movie and tried to forget it. And evidently he was in Godzilla.
Yeah, he was in Godzilla.
Random stuff.
Yeah, I didn't know he was in that. He was in Kick-Ass too. I didn't realize that.
Shanghai Nights, funny movie. Yeah. He's very he reminds me in looks. Do I forget his name? The guy who plays Loki.
Oh yeah,
Hiddleston.
Yeah, Tom Hiddleston.
Tom Hiddleman or whatever.
Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah. Yeah, he's good at this, and I love the styling of their outfits. They got dressed up to go do some killing, or save the son and get the briefcase. And what I think is totally hilarious, their only job is to save the son and bring the briefcase back. And in search for the briefcase, they abandon their primary directive. It's like they don't split up. Having this debate. That's the whole time I'm thinking. The first time go check on him. Go check on him. What are you doing? Turn around. I'm yelling. But I'm laughing too because they're bantering. It's just like, well, it's gonna be what's gonna be. Let's hope they go check on him soon. Yeah.
See, the COVID-19 pandemic impacted this movie, of course, as it did so many others. Let's see. That meant that this film, supposedly set in multiple locations, was actually shot on just 2 sound stages at the Sony lot in Los Angeles.
Really?
The producers constructed 3 full train cars, and LED screens with video footage of the Japanese countryside were hung outside the windows of the train set to help immerse the actors.
Even the train station sequence was where the locker was, and wow, that's impressive. I mean, well, also, what about all the flashback scenes? All those couldn't have been done in the same place. I mean,
they could have been. I mean, in
maybe.
The hospital room, you don't need that much room to it's all really about camera angles. I mean,
The dojo seemed pretty big for the scene, and he's killing everybody. But I don't know.
true.
But it's pretty cool, that I will say this is probably one of the few movies made these days that didn't use a drone for filming. Because I didn't see anything that reminded me of a drone footage. And nowadays that's pretty rare. So
it is kind of rare. The fight scenes were actually influenced by Jackie Chan.
I bet.
In the way that he blended comedy and combat. I've also got to say, I forgot I had this picture. I love this image right here. It's very Kia Kurosawa. It's very Kia Kurosawa. It's very old school, like martial arts, black and white martial arts from the 60s. I love this shot.
I like it too. It's good.
Let's see. Director David Leitch actually wanted Keanu Reeves to make a cameo appearance as Barry, the therapist in the film, but it didn't happen.
Well, that's appropriate because he and Sandra Bullock seem to do stuff together, so that would have been quite appropriate.
I just think it would have been funny. I mean, it would have been one more great cameo in this movie. It would have been funny to have seen the therapist Barry, but I mean, it would have been cool to have it be Keanu Reeves. I think it would have been fun to not see him wielding the sword. I think it would have even been cool
if at some point on the train he was like having anxiety and he had to call his therapist for like a quick session. And had anybody do the voicing of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like making a joke about all this, telehealth stuff. It could have been funny.
Yeah. Let's see. This, believe it or not, may be the final film for Sandra Bullock. Before her acting...
I have heard she's wanting to focus on her family because she adopted some kids or something. I don't follow celebrities.
Well, before her acting break to focus more on being a mother, due to the fact that she's rejected multiple $1 million film roles, it's possible that this could turn into a permanent retirement.
Well, good for her. Did you know Garth Brooks and his wife, they pretty much stopped for a couple years, like no touring whatsoever. Sure, they made some new albums, but they stopped touring because they've prioritized their families. So, kudos to her.
Yeah, I don't knock that. I mean, I always point to Sandra Bullock when I talk about how people that don't live in the Hollywood bubble manage to maintain some sense of sanity. All these people that live in Hollywood, that live in LA, that live in Beverly Hills, that live in the Hollywood bubble are all the ones that are all, getting whacked out and ODing in front of the Viper Room and shit like that.
And have unrealistic ideas about
the world, life, everything. Whereas these people that don't live in Hollywood, like, you don't ever hear anything about Sandra Bullock that isn't related to some movie she's in.
3 words: Tom Cruise and Scientology. It's like,
exactly.
What? You're not
There's a reason why Scientology exists, where all the famous people hang out, because it's easy to get into that bubble and start twisting people.
No offense to anybody who's Scientologist,
but it's like Sandra Bullock. I mean, other than the marriage to Jesse James being a little bit of tabloid fodder, you never hear anything about her other than what project she's working on. She's not she's not coked out. She's not getting drunk at a bar and causing a scene that's on video. She's just a very, at least as far, I've never met her, but as far as I know, a very down to earth person.
Someone who could end up at some random university teaching acting or film study as a funsy thing.
Yeah,
like in retirement.
Let's see. Ryan Reynolds' extremely short cameo as Carver was filmed remotely while he was on the set of his Netflix film, The Adam Project, in 1922. Producer Kelly McCormick humorously remarked that it was payback for Brad Pitt only being in Deadpool 2 for 2 seconds. I thought that was a lot of... I can imagine it right now where it's like Brad Pitt calls him up. He's like, hey, bro, do you want to be in my movie for 2 seconds like I was in your movie for 2 seconds? And I would imagine Ryan Reynolds was like, sure.
They're all doing sounds at the studio a lot. Who knows? Maybe he was there for something else, for a meeting.
I mean, it couldn't have taken that long to shoot his 2-second scene. I mean, it's him walking away from an exploding car. It's kind of like the average kind of, action movie slow motion walk away scene, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But let's see. In the third act, David Leitch originally intended for the White Death to appear in a tailored suit. Michael Shannon shot that idea down and suggested that he should wear loose-fitting clothing as if to suggest the White Death had become so consumed with grief over the death of his wife and driven by vengeance that he has worn the exact same clothes for 2 years, which David Leitch instantly approved of.
Interesting.
That's one of the things I like about the guy like Michael Shannon.
Surprised by the long hair of the character. I was surprised by the long hair.
That's one of the things I like about Michael Shannon is that he's not quite method, but he definitely gets into the character and he's like, what is this character going to be? What is he going to be through me?
Maybe he has long hair in his own personal life and he refused to cut it. You know, not everybody can be. How much did they pay that chicken alien to shave her head? Like
Sigourney Weaver? I don't know, probably a lot.
Yeah, then they pay her like a fuckload of money or something like that.
I don't know. She got paid a fuckload of money anyway, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's exactly. Also, I think it's a great look. I mean, he probably grew his hair out and maybe even had some wig work done.
It made me think of Antonio Banderas in Zorro, kind of.
I was actually thinking, what was I thinking as I was watching this the other night? Maybe not Antonio, but maybe
the guy, actual Bill in Kill Bill. He wore the open collar with the longer hair.
Yeah, very very similar to David Carradine's character. I don't know. As I'm looking at that picture, I'm getting another character in my head. I'm drawing a blank on who it is. But I mean, we've seen many martial arts movies with guys with long hair. I mean,
yeah.
Hell, John Wick has long hair.
True.
Let's see. Also, one final piece of trivia: the director was actually in the movie. I don't know if you noticed that or not. David Leitch was innocent victim number 16 who gets blown up by the car. That was the director of the film.
Innocent victim number 17. That sounds like a great YouTube name. Innocent victim number 17. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, again, just a movie full of fantastic visuals. Like I said, this scene right here, I just love this visual. It's such a great martial arts and movie scene of the bad guy walking away after laying siege to the Yakuza. But
yeah.
Oh, no, that's probably good enough place to start wrapping things up. So it was just me and you tonight. It was just me and you to drive the conversation. So hopefully when we get around doing Gremlins in a couple
I'm
days,
allergic
we'll have
to the others, so
here.
I don't come around, Jeremy and Tex, I'm kind of allergic.
Well, all Tex wants to talk about is murder and boobs. So me and you can have more fruitful, more civilized conversation.
I'm just fucking with you guys. I love you guys. I just, I've been busy. Like, I just moved in August. Life's been crazy, but things are stabilizing, so I'll be around more.
But yeah, but
now that you're done watching those scary movies that give me nightmares from Halloween season.
No, we've got more. We got more coming. Don't worry.
What?
Yeah, me and Tex were talking. I want to start doing a couple of horror movies every month. So, but I'll try to keep them a little more. I'll see if I can find a couple.
Take those weeks off, and I'll do something else. So.
Well, I also want to try to find some that I think maybe palatable to you, if nothing else, like maybe some horror comedies. Because there are several horror comedies
Jurassic
out there.
Park gives me nightmares. So, my threshold's pretty low. And when people, I don't know. I won't go on and on about myself, but...
We'll do Pooh, Blood, and Honey. That's not so bad.
I will not watch that movie. I'm not going to ruin Winnie the Pooh.
I think you'd like it. But anyway, how about give me some of your final thoughts on Bullet Train. Overall, what did you think of the film?
I think this would be a great, Netflix and chill... And I actually mean just Netflix and chill, first date or like when you're first spending time with somebody movie, because there's no sex scene, so there's no awkward nudity. It's actions and it's funny. And let me tell you, if you have relatives or friends that you disagree with about a lot of things in life, this is a movie that there's nothing that will stir up politics, religion, anything like that, because it's just fucking funny. And I think everybody can walk away from it feeling like they just watched a good movie. So I think it'd be a great movie for groups. And I don't know if I'd buy it, but it's pretty damn good.
We don't really have to buy it. It's available on Netflix. So if you have a Netflix account, you can go watch it there. And probably Amazon Prime somewhere. I didn't look on Prime. I just knew it was on Netflix. But, as for me, again, as somebody who grew up watching the Chuck Norris, Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan stuff, and has watched a lot of the Akira Kurosawa stuff, all the classic martial arts stuff. This movie it definitely is a callback to a lot of that stuff, especially in the fight scenes. There is the great comedy the kind of goofy comedy that you expect Brad Pitt to do when he does comedy. I mean, he can do drama just great, but his kind of comedy, the kind of almost not quite cartoonish, but definitely a little bit outlandish, the kind of comedy you would see him do something like Ocean's 11.
Comedy.
Yeah, something like you would see him doing in Ocean's 11, that kind of comedy. It's not quite as subtle, but it's still kind of right in that wheelhouse.
And
A lot of really,
unlike that movie, you're not watching him eat every 5 seconds.
true. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot. It really is just a great movie. It's a lot of fun.
I think they could do a sequel potentially.
Well, you know, this is the second in a 3-book series. So, and they've already did the first book. This is actually representation of the second book. So maybe they do, maybe they don't. Here's why I don't think that's going to happen. This movie actually caught a little bit of hell for whitewashing.
Oh.
Just reading this, that the casting of several non-Asian actors, including Brad Pitt and Joey King, prompted accusations of whitewashing characters who were Japanese in Isaka's novel. Let's see, executive director of the Japanese American Citizens League criticized the casting, saying that while American actors would have been appropriate if the setting were changed to the United States, the filmmakers used the novel's Japanese setting while keeping Japanese characters in the film's background, strengthening the charges of whitewashing. I don't know about that. I mean, you've got a Russian, you've got...
I think it's just a matter of opinion, and they just were casting... I can't speak to it, but... whether...
Yeah,
I think if you want to watch it, watch it. If you don't, you don't. And, you know, you're missing out if you're not.
Yeah, he does say something in here. It says that he further criticized the film for pushing the quote, belief Asian actors in leading roles can't carry a blockbuster, despite recent successes of Asian-led films such as Crazy Rich Asians or Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I find that kind of funny because those movies are evidence that they are putting more Asian actors into leading roles. I mean, I don't understand it. Obviously, those movies like that doing well is proof. It just disproves the idea that they're not trying to put Asian actors out there. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, would it have been better with all Asian actors? I mean, it depends on the actor.
Isn't there balance? Because in the last Star Wars movies, the Emperor had his scenes cut so an Asian girl could stand on a thing and talk about random things. I mean, there's balance in Hollywood. I don't know.
Well, they don't want balance. They want what they want, and they want a look. They want to be seen as being diverse. When really it's not about diversity. It is kind of like you said about balance. They don't really want diversity as much as they want. I actually just sat the other day and watched the South Park Into the Painterverse episode. Holy shit. That is one of the funniest things I've ever seen on TV. And but it is kind of exactly the idea of so many of these filmmakers, especially the office people in Hollywood, the people that aren't real creators. Is the gag in that whole episode is Kathleen Kennedy saying, make her a chick and make her gay. It's just like every time they ask her something, she's like, make her chick, make her gay, make her chick, make her gay. And it's like, well, that's great if you're talking about a gay female character, but if you're talking about Brad Pitt being an assassin who's just trying to get this briefcase, what does it really do to accentuate the character? How does it improve the character? It doesn't really improve anything. You're just legitimately pandering to a very small group of people.
And what if the role is written for Brad Pitt? We don't know these things.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
I mean,
find me the right actor to play a role. Gender shouldn't really be even an issue, really. I mean, obviously, as much as I like Tom Hanks as an actor, I obviously would not Tom Hanks to be cast as Martin Luther King in a biopic. That's a little ridiculous. But I mean, it really is all about acting talent, what this person can bring to a specific role.
And this cast brought it.
Yeah, absolutely they did. But I don't know.
Critics, be what you want. At least they're not making a movie about Egypt that rewrites the history of Egypt and only has people who don't look Egyptian in it. Whatever. Things happen in Hollywood,
Yeah, it's whatever. I mean, diversity.
I don't know.
Diversity means nothing to me. I want a good story. I want
not
good
everybody
characters.
Can be happy, and that's why there are Tex put in the chat you made a joke about horror. I'm not a horror fan. He is. There's enough content out there, old and new and upcoming, that we can all be happy. And this movie is one of the few that kind of crosses all those barriers, in my opinion. So it's even pretty kid safe, for young teens to teenagers. So
they do say the C word a lot. And doesn't bother me. I know it bothers some people.
I would rather kids. I'm not a parent. I need to disclaim this. I would rather kids hear curse words than see tits in a movie. Just saying. I mean, I don't know. If I was a
I don't
parent,
know. Teach their own when it comes to movies. I mean, movies are art and art is subjective. So we like what we like.
Amen.
We don't like what we don't.
We all don't like the same shit, and that's okay.
That's the great thing about art, though.
Yep.
But I don't know. But like I said,
elephants can make art and sell paintings for thousands of dollars. It doesn't mean I'm going to go buy it, but whatever. But I watched this twice, so it was great.
Yeah, I think it's a really good movie. It's if you have a Netflix account, it's on Netflix. It's probably available on another streamer too. But if you've got a Netflix account, go watch it there.
And it wasn't too long either, by the way. This would be when you could watch right before bed. It wasn't like, some long epic one, but it was, fun. It was really good. So.
Yeah, so go give it a watch. I think it's a really fun movie. Look, it's not going to win any Oscars, I know, but I don't think the movie was intended to be that. I thought it was meant. I think it was made for what movies ultimately should be made for. That's just to entertain the masses. Tell this really cool, interesting story. It is actually a really rich story. If you just break down the story elements, it's actually really kind of engrossing. The whole the father-son dynamic, the father and the son that's in the hospital, and his father feeling guilt over not being there to stop him being hurt. His father trying to understand where his son was at, why the whole, like, a father's job is to protect his family. Like I put down in my thing in my thing, that kind of thing. So you have that family dynamic, you have the comedy shit, you have the fighting shit, you have just the overall look of the film, which is really inviting. It's a really fun movie from a lot of different angles, and I suggest that you give it a watch. So go down in the comments below, let us know what you guys think. Have you seen Bullet Train, and did you think it was a good movie? I thought it was a whole lot of fun, and I think that it's definitely one that I'll probably revisit again over time. I'll watch it here and there just for shits and giggles. It's a wildly entertaining movie. But thank you to Lady Cora for rejoining us again. Hopefully, now that we're done talking about murder and all that good stuff, she will be on camera.
Oh,
of course, not
great,
in real life.
I love true crime. I just don't want to see it. You know what I mean?
You just want to break it down after the fact.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't want to see the person actually get beat to death.
I want to know the fuckers in jail or watch the trial, but I don't want to. I don't want to see the pictures or see reenactment.
Yeah. But so glad you could rejoin us again. We're looking forward to getting you back in the fray. Where can the folks at home find you?
Nowhere. You see how little I responded in the Twitter chat. So I'm kind of allergic to social media, and I'm only kind of hanging out on your channel. And so I'm a ghost, and I'm good with that. But everybody should follow Text Jeremy and Frank on things, and follow the channel and all the Twitches and shit, whatever, all the, the YouTubes, yeah, like and subscribe.
Yeah, what she said. Also, you can find me here tomorrow night talking football with Tex, probably Marcus, and the Rose Gaming will probably be here tomorrow as well. A lot of big games this weekend. Again, a couple more really, really serious injuries that are going to be impacting the playoff push as we get later on to the last, 5-6 games of the season. Trevor Lawrence hurt last night in the game against the Bengals in that overtime loss. So we'll be talking about that. Obviously, Phillies, Niners, Dallas, Seattle is another big game with big playoff implications. We'll be talking about that, obviously, because, Dallas won and Texas is going to want to gloat some more. But, we'll be talking about that on Thursday or on Wednesday, actually, tomorrow. And don't forget that on Thursday, we'll be back here breaking down one of the best Christmas movies ever made, a staple of all 80s filmdom. The movie Gremlins, given to us by
and it's not
Sir
too
Steven
late
Spielberg.
to go to a creepy antique store in a weird neighborhood to ask for the strangest thing ever to give the ones you love for Christmas.
Yeah, you may just get a Mogwai.
Yeah.
Just make sure you follow the rules. That's all. But you'll be back here hopefully to check that out with us on Thursday as we break down Gremlins. Again, we're getting into the Christmas themed movies now. You're going to see us doing Gremlins.
Die Hard. I'm joking.
Die Hard's a Christmas movie. We could do Die Hard. I will die on that hill. I will go down swinging on top of that hill.
Bad Santa is. I need to watch Bad Santa this season and make some sandwiches while I'm doing so.
It's a Christmas movie.
It is.
It's a Christmas. It's got Santa in it. It's a Christmas movie. Anyway, I will
how
die
many
on this
movies
hill.
do you get a woman saying "fuck me, Santa"? How many? Not many.
Lord Graham saying "fuck me, Santa."
Yeah.
After all those years in the Gilmore Girls, we got to do some stuff like this. Oh yeah. But you will see me back here again over the course of the next couple of days. We got a couple of streams coming at you, so don't forget to, like Cora said, share us around to your friends. I actually will be over the course of the next week or so setting up the charity stream. The thumbnail got done, so I'm going to be setting up the charity stream for.
Congratulations about that, by the way.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being a part of it all. It's been great having you around here. I do have really the best crew in you two. I'm just so happy to have all you guys. You
You're
guys have all
humble.
contributed
We all
very,
wouldn't
very
be having
much.
as much fun if you didn't set this shit up and work hard to incorporate into your busy life. So
well, it's funner to talk
you.
movies. It's funner to talk movies with my friends. I mean, I could come on here and just blather for 15 minutes about a movie, or I could get all you guys on here and we can argue back and forth about like what Tech said. He is 100% saying that Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. So we'll have that argument at some point before the end of the year, I'm sure. But
I'm gonna find some polls online before we get to that day. What the world thinks about it. I'm gonna look at Reddit and some other things and read some articles and see what the rest of the world thinks about that. I'll get us some statistics for trivia at the end of that one.
Well, I say all the time, any movie that you watch religiously at Christmas is a Christmas movie.
But let's be honest, all those really, I do not mean to offend anybody who likes these. I need to disclaim that. Anybody who watches all those fucking Hallmark movies of people falling in love in the most ridiculous, unrealistic ways, just because they set them at Christmas does not make them Christmas movies.
True.
Just saying.
Like, is a movie being set during Thanksgiving a Thanksgiving movie? Is the movie Thanksgiving that just came out that I still need to go see because I hear a lot of really great stuff about it? Is that a Thanksgiving movie? Whatever. I don't know.
I don't know.
But I don't know. Go down in the comments below. Let us know if you think Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Do you agree with me or do you agree with Tex? I'm going to have to put a poll out in the community tab. So go check us out in the community tab on The Harsh Truth. I'll put a poll out there. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Yes or no? We'll kind of just go with that. I'll leave it up there.
But no Tex, you can't log into 20 accounts or ask Casey to log into his 50 accounts and vote no over and over again.
Unless you pay a lot of money. Well, at least help Casey make some money out of it. But yeah. But again, you will see us back here talking football tomorrow and the fantasy impact of this last week in the NFL. You also see us back here Thursday again, breaking down Gremlins, one of the quintessential '80s movies from Sir Steven Spielberg.
Let's hope it's never remade. Let's cross our fingers.
They're talking about a sequel. We'll talk about that on Thursday as well. Tex thinks that the people will agree with him, so he's not worried. I don't know. I'll put the poll out there. We'll find out. But keep an eye on the communities tab on the channel. We'll be.
It's not my fault that Tex thinks the only people that matter live in Texas, but everybody outside of Texas knows that's like they have their own version of heaven, and everybody walks up to the wall quietly because they don't want them, to know that they're the only ones in that. Anyway, I'm done shitting on you, Tex. See you Thursday.
Yeah, we will see if the people agree with him or not. I will put one on Twitter and on the communities tab on YouTube. So we'll try to get we'll try to get as big a sample size as we can.
Very cool.
But we will see you guys, like I said, tomorrow to talk more football. Until then, we will see you guys next time. Thank you, Lady Cora, for coming and rejoining us. Looking forward to having you back on a more regular basis now that life is settling in for you. And we'll see you guys tomorrow to talk football. Till then, sayonara.
Bye. Misty, Tex, and Jeremy.
I mean, they could have put a few boobs in here. I mean, it wouldn't have hurt anybody.
Well, technically they were clothed.
Well, that's not boobs, though.
Hey.
Technically speaking, there's boobs in every movie if they're clothes.